How's it going, guys? Welcome back to part two of our predictions ahead of the new NBA season here on Beyond the Arc. Sully, we've already had some potential technical issues to begin with. It's a good thing we weren't recording for that long. Uni Wi-Fi, it's doing us in. They don't want us to succeed.
They don't want us to win, but we're gonna win. This is what's gonna happen. But I'm doing good, bro. How are you doing?
I'm a little bit of a headache this morning. I was out last night, but I'm ready. I'm ready to record. Manchester Knights cheap on a weekday, but that's obviously very dangerous for a lightweight like myself. But we're not here to talk about Manchester Knights. We're here to talk about the NBA Eastern Conference. Last week, we did have plans to do both the West and the East, but due to lack of time and fire alarms and the fact that the video would have been like 2 hours long if we did both of the conferences in the same video, we've decided to split it into two videos. So this is essentially part two of us predicting what the conferences are going to be like. The NBA season starts next Tuesday, which is 5 days away, and I am gassed. How are we
Yeah,
looking
we're
forward to
hyped.
the new
We're
season?
hyped.
Yeah.
We're hyped, man.
Um.
I mean, we've been waiting so long. Like
Too long.
it actually feels wrong that we waited this long, but then it just makes it feel so much better.
Yeah.
But
The thing
I'm
with the
gonna be hyped.
NBA, obviously, their off season is so much longer than like football or
Hmm.
any sport in
Yeah,
the UK. But equally, when the NBA starts again, you have 82 games in like
yeah,
6 months, and it's a case of your team's playing like every other night, and it's like
yeah.
this is amazing. Well, I mean, no matter how many times your team plays, though, they're only gonna finish in one position in the conference, which is
That is true.
one of my weakest segues. I'm not gonna lie. I think I could have done better, but
No,
on the
it
spot,
was all right.
yeah. All right. Well, at least I got the approval from Sully. Today myself and Sully are going to be like last week, ranking the conferences just this time in the East ahead of the new season, which I said starts next week, which means next week we'll actually be reviewing NBA games again.
We are here.
But. Yeah, it's been too long. It's been too long. If you guys are excited for that, make sure you're leaving a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel for, well, so you're notified whenever we upload a podcast every Friday, hopefully this season. And then we might do more stuff on a potential another channel if we have time. Who knows? But for weekly podcasts, this is the channel that you need to be subscribed to. Make sure that you are sharing it out no matter what you're listening on. Follow our socials, links in the description. Follow our Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, links in the description. We're going to try and be a bit more active on that, push the engagements out, try and get as many eyes on this as possible. Without further ado, though, I think we should just get straight into it.
That's it.
Who've you got 15th, my guy?
For 15th, a bit of a drop for them for where they were last year. Got the Washington Wizards. They're dry. They don't give me that face. They're dry.
Oh,
They're dead. They're dead.
that's crazy. What? So a team, yes, they may be a bit dead, but a team with Bradley Beal on, you think is
But
not
Bradley
even
Beal
gonna.
doesn't care about basketball anymore, bro. He just cares
He's
about
got
that bag, and I
he's got the bag
respect
to be
it.
fair.
Like I think I said this last week with somebody else. I can't remember. Chris Paul, maybe it was Chris Paul. I can't remember. It was somebody. Um, some of these players. It was Damian Lillard who I said it about. Some of these players are okay with just being like on a mediocre team as long as they're getting paid. Because at the end of the day, that's what they came to do. They came to get paid, and he's getting paid. He doesn't care about basketball. He knows he's never gonna win a chip. He knows he's never gonna. Like, what's the point? He's not. He's probably only got a few years left in him. Like, he might as well just play for fun and get paid, and that's exactly what he's doing. I don't think he cares where his team finishes, and nobody else on that team. I mean, Kyle Kuzma, I don't think he's carrying the Washington Wizards to like a playing spot or something. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't see Washington getting anywhere above the bottom spot.
How about Porzingis?
Man,
Porzingis on that
forget
team.
them all. Forget them all. They're all dry. It's the driest
Well, I
team ever.
mean, like like we said last week, this is going to be a very interesting season because we've got a generational talent in the draft coming up in Victor
We do.
Wembanyama.
We do.
So
And then you never know. Washington, if they're calling him Webby on Twitter now, so I'm gonna start calling him Webby as well. But if they get Webby,
maybe
then they're not gonna be as dry. I mean, there's probably gonna be like a trade package as soon as he goes to Washington because I don't think Webby's playing in Washington. But I mean, yeah, I mean everybody's gonna want to tank Washington if they even care about that. Like right now, I don't know what the GMs are doing, but yeah, I don't know. I just like the thing about when Pat Bev said the stake before Chris Paul. If you're playing
Mhm,
Washington,
mhm.
bro, you're pulling an all-nighter, playing FIFA with your boys, eating pizza, like you don't even care, and then you wake, and then you hit the day, and you're like, oh, we're playing Washington today, okay, and then you go and beat them, and then you sleep. Maybe no, you don't even sleep. You just chill because you're like that. It didn't take any energy out of you because they're that dry.
No chance. I don't agree. I don't agree. I think 15th is going to be another poor season for Detroit, the Pistons. They've traded away Jeremy
Really?
Grant, yeah, and I think like with OKC last week, maybe if you can persuade the youngsters around them one more year of tanking, that Cade and Webby link up next season,
That
it
is
might be a
true. The
shout.
kid in Webby link will be crazy, but I mean, Webby just won't play in Detroit though. Like
He's got to
this
play
is what I'm.
somewhere.
Yeah, I know, but like all these teams that are trying to tank. Let's be honest, he will just like move if he's at a dry up team, like because like for example, if the Kings manage to get him, he doesn't want to play at the Kings, bro. He doesn't want to play
Well, no,
there.
no, who wants to play the Kings? Let's be honest.
Exactly.
No, Detroit. I feel are going to be interesting to watch this season.
Yeah.
Very nice young core. Jaden Ivey out of the draft. People are saying he's a sleeper pick for rookie of the year. Obviously, Cade Cunningham, we saw last year, despite calling him the worst number one pick of all time, we saw last year that he is championship. He has the pieces. He has the
Mm.
qualities to be
It
that
took him a
championship
while,
level
but
franchise
he
player.
he woke up, and when he woke up, he was like, "I'm here," and
Yeah,
we did sleep on him for a long while. I can't lie. In fact, we
yeah.
were like fast asleep on him, and then we woke up. We woke up,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
guy is cold. The guy
But
is very nice.
equally, like Chiellini said about Tottenham, it is the history of the Detroit to finish
It
bottom
is
of the conference.
yeah, that is true. Like they are trying to
Just
dry
like
as
it's
well.
the history of the Sacramento to not make the playoffs. It is the
Yeah.
history of the Detroit Pistons at the moment to finish bottom. And I reckon, I don't know, there are a few weak teams in the East, but I feel like on paper Detroit might be better than a few of the teams that I'm gonna say in the next three picks. But I reckon, I don't know, for the prospect of getting Wembanyama in,
Mm.
Detroit might go down one more.
Mm. I can see where you're looking. I don't. I mean, they probably could. I just 1 second. There you go.
What is this
Yeah.
guy doing?
I was just fixing. It was just all. Anyways. Um.
Go get the
Yeah. I
lighting
mean,
right for Beyond the Edge.
I have to. Of course. Of course.
Of course.
I mean, I can see where you're looking. I don't think they're gonna finish that low. I still think they're gonna be like bottom four. But for my 14th, I've gone with the Indiana Pacers because they are also dry.
Yeah,
Like
true. Like the Pacers are quite dry. Halliburton I
they could.
respect, but equally than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they could have gone 15th, but you know what it is. Like there's just something about the Washington Wizards that just scream dry way more than the Pacers. Like, and the thing is, as much as there is like a lot of competition in this East, there's just so much dryness at the bottom. It's like it really does make up for the amount of competition inside like the top 10. But then Yeah, like the Pacers are just not gonna like throw any challenge at all to anybody on this conference. Like, I mean, they probably will have a good game with the Washington Wizards, and by good game, I mean like who who will be the least dry out of the dry. And I
Who
see
do you
the
think, who do you think
Pacers.
wins that game then?
I mean, it depends if Bradley Beal's starting, then the Washington Wizards might win because he might. I don't. I just don't think he'll want to lose to like the joint. You know what? I won't even say Washington are more dry than them. They're as dry as each other, but like it'll be like split by 1 or 2 games, the 14th to 15th, and I feel like Washington might actually beat them if they
Mhm.
were to play. But
Fair.
they're just both dead. Like like the when it gets to like the top 11, like 10 even, it gets good. But the first four, it's just nah, man. It ain't the one. But I mean, they're getting a bit less dry now with like the teams getting players in. But that bottom two will, I no doubt in my mind that would be the bottom two.
Okay, fair, fair. Well, again, I haven't put the Pacers there. Um, talk about dry teams, and you can cry all you want when I tell you this. 14th position for me is the Charlotte Hornets.
That's crazy.
Name,
Whoa.
name for me. Name one other player on the Charlotte Hornets that isn't Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, or Gordon Hayward, and I bet you can't name anyone.
Jello. Jello ball.
Angelo Ball, yeah, he's the guy. They have nobody other than LaMelo, and I see this
That's
a
all you
lot.
need,
There's
bro.
this Instagram page that I there's this Instagram page that I follow. I actually sent you their Western Conference predictions. They predicted Denver to be top like me. Look at me go.
Yeah,
And they were
yeah,
saying that a good point that they made is that Charlotte are in like NBA purgatory in the way that they're not good enough to make a challenge for the playoffs, but equally they have
yeah,
LaMelo Ball, so therefore he himself is going to win you 25 games on his own this year. So, and that probably isn't
yeah.
enough for like a proper bottom seed. I reckon Charlotte is probably the I don't know. Does Wembanyama and Lamelo fit? I reckon they're two very like ball heavy players. That they're gonna want their
That's
touches.
true. I
But
mean,
yeah, I mean,
to be fair, it would be like a nice replacement to that guy. And
well, I mean it's an upgrade. But equally, they haven't
yeah,
replaced that guy this year, unless LiAngelo Ball is your replacement, but he isn't. Um,
listen, the Ball brothers, this is gonna be like I mean, there is no comparison because I mean, you could say like if Jordan and Pippen were brothers, this is what's gonna happen at Charlotte. They've already got Jordan. Jordan's gonna be the mastermind. He's the owner. That's what they say. He's the owner. Really, he's in the dressing room. He's like telling them, like,
so
"Oh
you're
shit."
you're telling me LiAngelo Ball's gonna win Rookie of the Year?
I mean, does he count as a rookie though?
It's his
I
first
say,
season, right? Has he played NBA minutes before? I don't think he has.
I
I
don't
think he's
think he
just played
has.
summer league.
I mean, if he counts as a rookie, you never know. I mean, Chet is already out of it because obviously he got injured. Um, I think Paolo's actually going to be like semi-dry. Um, I mean, who knows? Gilo, I'm just saying, like, we've been waiting for this day since like forever, and it's happening.
Since
I'm
he
telling
was
you,
born, we were
since he
waiting for
was
this day.
born. I mean, his dad said they're all going to be in the NBA, and he was right.
True,
And
true. Although,
this is,
would you count Lonzo Ball as being in the NBA at this moment? I don't
he's,
even know.
he's still he's still getting NBA checks.
Yeah, true. You're
Still
still
getting.
getting paid for having no knee. Um.
Mhm. But
Anyway, no, yeah.
what
Back
team?
back to Charlotte. 14th. It is literally just Lamelo Ball and friends, and I reckon I don't know. It's just a bit dry.
That is crazy. I mean, you know what? We got bold on this account though. We got bold on this podcast. So Sam was just sticking with what we do.
Sure.
But you know what? I'm I'm gonna respect that he's obviously like he's done that to push my buttons. He doesn't believe that. He knows Charlotte can win it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. Okay, if you got 13th then.
At 13th is where I put the Orlando Magic.
The
Now,
Magic, okay.
I put them there because, like I said, they've got Paolo, so I think he's gonna be like a bit of an upgrade. But when I say a bit, I literally like what is that, 2 places from where they finished bottom last year, so he'll probably be all right. I'm not expecting big things. Why? I don't know. Like there's just something about the guy that just doesn't scream number one pick. But then again, we said the same thing last year about kids, so I might be wrong. But I really nothing screamed number one pick about this guy. Like before he's even played NBA minutes, he was trying to get Kevin Durant to the Orlando Magic. Like that for me is just like, whoa, what are you doing? Like I just didn't like the draft class this year. Like there was just some, but I just didn't like
No,
any of them. Like not
fair, fair.
literally not, except the English guy. None of them were really talking like that. And
Pick up Jeremy
like
Sochan.
yeah, big up Soshan. We're gonna get him on the podcast soon. He actually messaged me like an hour ago.
Oh, did he? Right.
And like even Chet saying he's the best player in the league before he's even played, like shit your mouth, man. This whole draft class, I think it was dry. Webby's carrying the next one as well. Like the draft just hasn't hit the same in a while, and I think Paolo is just gonna prove what I'm saying. I hope so, anyways, because I don't want to be wrong. Um, but yeah, I think they finished 13th, which is obviously better upgrades, I guess. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about the Orlando Magic. They're just dead.
Fair, fair. Well, the 13th position is where I put the Pacers. So, Indiana, you put them
Mm,
14th, I put them 13th. This is pretty much
yeah.
on the basis that Miles Turner plays the full season with them. If Miles Turner leaves, say, I don't know, before Christmas,
Mm,
then the Pacers are finishing bottom. That's fact.
yeah.
But
Just yeah, dry.
Miles Turner has enough. He's not the best center, but equally
Mm,
he's not
is
awful. Benedict Mathurin from the
yeah,
draft, I think, is going to have a
yeah.
decent season, maybe. Like you said, really, the draft class has been a bit underwhelming, I think, this year.
Mm,
But yeah, I reckon the Pacers are going to be a bit dead, but will have enough about them to pick up the odd wins against like playoff level teams,
yeah.
and that'll put 13th this year.
No, I think you're right. I mean, like we said, I don't see them doing anything special. So like that bottom three, bottom four, maybe even if you want to push it there, seems about right for most of the like. I mean, aside from the one outlandish pick of your 14th, like these bottom four will probably be the same. But what am I on now? 12?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going with the Detroit Pistons.
Okay,
I think,
okay.
like,
Right,
I think KD.
I'm just
Mm.
saying, off topic. If this guy puts Charlotte at fifth again, I'm gonna be I'm kicking you off of the podcast.
Is that where I put them last year?
Yeah, yes.
You know what? It's not even my fault. They could have actually got there, but I
It's
don't know
not.
what
It's
happened.
not my fault.
It's not my fault. Like I really believed, and you know what? I blame Jordan, bro. I blame
Okay,
Jordan. Your go. I
okay,
blame your go. What's he doing? He
okay,
should be
okay.
managing, owning this
Talk to me.
team better.
Talk to me about Detroit then. What are you saying?
Yeah. Detroit. I mean, they're still dead. I'm not gonna lie, but I think Cade is gonna elevate them a little bit more. And like we saw towards the second half of last season, the guy was crazy. Like he was actually going off a little bit, and he just like my bad. I've seen postseason videos of him. I've seen him in like pickup games and all of this stuff, and he looks like just a lot better than he did last year. And last year he did look good towards the end of it. And I think even though a lot of teams are wanting to tank, I think, like I said, I don't see Wembanyama even playing for the Pistons, even if Pistons like get first lottery pick or whatever. Like he's just gonna get packaged into another team because he won't want to play there. So I don't see the point in them tanking. They might as well try and have a better season for like just themselves.
How
And even 12,
how close do you reckon they're gonna be to the 10th position in the play-in then?
um, well, I think they'll finish 12th. I mean, I don't know about how close it'll be. Like, I don't think they'll push for it. I'll be honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think they like. I think because I know who obviously I'm putting 11th, and I think there'll be a big gap between them and 11th. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair, fair.
Um, but then maybe obviously like they can build on that, and then next year who knows? But I want to have some faith for this dead up team that we've been cussing for the last 2 years on this. Oh well, you cussed on the last 2 years. I've cussed them for the last year on this podcast. Because we like to see improvements. But yeah, for me, 12th is them.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, for me, I think 13th, 14th, and 15th are going to be in like a league of their own, maybe. And then 12th upwards is where we start competing. Orlando is where I've put 12, is who I've
Okay.
put 12. I really like the Magic. I think the building something special. Obviously, they've got Paolo in. Wendell Carter is, I think, one of the most underrated bigs in the whole league. Franz Wagner in his second year, he's doing. He had a solid rookie year. I think
Mm,
I'm still high on Markel Fultz. Even I feel like I do feel sorry for him with all the injuries and all that kind of stuff. I am still high on him. I think if he can play 60 games this year, the Magic are going to be better off for it. Cole Anthony potentially has a 20-point per season in him. Whether that's going to be this season,
mm.
I don't think so. But he's edging towards that kind of level. And then you got like Jonathan Isaac, who hasn't played in the NBA since he was 21, and now he's 25. Um,
Crazy.
whether he comes back relatively the same, who knows? I mean, he
If he
wasn't
can
the best
still
player.
hold a basketball, that'll be an improvement, to be honest. Like 4 years without playing ball, I won't be able
I
to
don't think
bounce it right.
I think people are kind of like over exaggerating it a little bit. I think he got properly injured like on the last few days of his like before he turned 22.
Mm.
And then as soon as he turned 25, NBA Twitter was like, Jonathan Isaac hasn't played in 4 years. Look at this, when he actually probably hasn't played in like three. So
That's still a long time,
it's
bro.
still
I'm
a
not
long
gonna
time.
lie.
It is. It
That's
is.
still a
But
long time.
how long was Clay out? And he's come back, and obviously he's not as good as what he was
Mm.
before the injuries, but he's still a decent player. Maybe Isaac can be a decent role player for them still. Who knows? But yeah, I like the young core that Orlando have, and I think it's time for them to start pushing towards getting the playoffs, which is weird because they were a playoff team like three seasons ago, the season before they traded Vooch. So this has been a pretty quick rebuild, you may say. It all
Yeah,
depends on whether Paolo can be anywhere near the level of a superstar player, though. He doesn't have to show it in his first season, but for it to be a successful rebuild and for them to start challenging for the playoffs, they're going to need to start. He is going to need to like carry them essentially.
yeah. I would like to see them do that, to be honest. But at the same time, like I think a bit opposite to how you think about Paulo. But who knows? I could be wrong. I mean, I like to be wrong sometimes at the same time, even though like 5 minutes ago I said I don't want to be wrong. On this case, I don't mind because it's about the young talent, so I don't mind being wrong.
Okay.
But moving on, you'll be happy to know 11th I put the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay. Okay, so
I didn't
I'm gonna come out
obviously,
and say that our bottom what's this, five are exactly the same because I've put the Wizards there. Not in the same positions,
but it's
but
the same teams.
so essentially from the playing upwards we've got the same teams as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean, I've got them there because, like you said, they never replaced that guy in the end. I mean, they added Gilo, which obviously is going to be like the greatest like duo we've ever seen in the league in the history. Like Shaq and Kobe is not going to be remembered after these two. Like Jordan and Pippen is literally going to be like in the shadows. And I don't even want to talk about LeBron and D Wade. No one's gonna know who them guys are now because the Ball brothers are in Charlotte. Like it's game over. I mean, in truth, I don't know how good they'll actually be together. I mean, Lamelo does make anybody else look like decent. Like I could probably get 10 points out of Charlotte if Lamelo was my point guard. So who knows? But
Uh,
I mean, unfortunately, I do think they're gonna miss out on any off-season game time this year, which is actually like, because you know how much I like Lamelo Ball in this podcast. So, but that just means that they can regroup and rebuild for the next season and hopefully replace that guy. Um, and yeah, who knows how they're looking next year? But for me, 11th, I think they'll just miss out, to be honest.
yeah. Well, I think the same with the Wizards. I just think they have a solid team. It's just everybody else in the league's better than them that I've put above.
Mm,
Obviously, that's very obvious of me to say, but
yeah.
that just is how it is, really. They are just aren't as good as
Mm,
everyone else. Which you know they're in a weird position because they're not young. Porzingis isn't young. Beal isn't young, but they're kind of like Charlotte, but they have a better team,
Mm,
in my
yeah.
opinion.
Nah, I hear you.
Well, that's all I can say about Washington. We talked a lot about Washington earlier. Let's move
Yeah.
into the playing positions. Then who have you got 10th?
10th, I've got the greatest team to ever grace any sport in the history of sports. I've got the New York Knicks. I think we'll just make it in the
All right.
play-in because, well, how I look at it is like this top 10 now, no matter where you put anybody, it's going to seem a bit outlandish. Not outlandish, but like, because everybody is so good now in this Eastern Conference division, like, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel wrong putting anybody anywhere because I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Like this top 10
They
actually
could
gave me
do
a hard
this,
time.
but actually they could do
Literally.
this.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was even before I was fighting with New York and Charlotte, and I can't lie, I only picked New York over Charlotte because I support them. Like that was literally my only basis of it. Like I didn't have any actual NBA knowledge towards that choice. I just chose them because I wanted that to happen. But like, I mean, New York finishing 10th, because I mean, technically, they. I mean, I don't know if you could say they've got a better team than Charlotte. I think overall, maybe, but like obviously Charlotte have like Lamelo and Terry Rozier, but New York just have like a decently rounded team. Um, and yeah, I mean, obviously we've like still got the foundations there. Obviously, the heartbreak of what could have been in the off season is in the past now. We don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
even know who that
Yeah.
guy is anymore. Um,
We'll talk about him a bit
and
later.
no, we won't talk about him. He's a pagan.
Okay.
No, no, we will. But yeah, I think the Knicks will be all right. I don't think we'll be amazing, but I don't think we'll be horrible. I just think we'll be all right, good enough to secure 10th.
Fair enough. I put the Raptors 10th. The Toronto Raptors.
Mm,
I
okay.
might be underrating them. But I don't think I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs anyway. But I am also
Mm,
putting in a rather outlandish pick in there a little bit later. Um, I don't know. I don't think I rated the Raptors last season that much. If I'm honest with you, I can't remember exactly where I put them, but I just don't. They finished fifth last year,
mm,
and they've got the same team essentially, and it's not
yeah,
like they had an old team. Scotty Barnes has got an extra year on him.
yeah.
Siakam's got an extra year on him and a full season. And Anuobi,
Mm,
Fred VanVleet is getting into his prime, you may say. But I don't know. Maybe it's like the Heat. I don't rate that team. I don't see
yeah.
anyone on. I see a lot of solid players. I don't see anyone on that team that can take the ball up in the fourth quarter in a
Mm,
tight game and win you the game. Fred VanVleet maybe has that. Siakam maybe has that. Barnes definitely will have that. I just don't think it'll come this season.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
just
do you
see a
not
lot of.
think like the way because obviously they were quite good in the playoffs last year, and obviously like they got unlucky with the Scotty Barnes injury. Do you not think like that would carry over, like like the quality we saw in that team in that like playoff series, even though like obviously they didn't go deep into it. Like we all thought that they got kind of unlucky with that injury, and maybe they could have beat the 76ers. So do you like? I'm not saying that like because this is what I mean with this division. It is hard to put anybody anywhere. Like no matter where you place anyone, like there's kind of question marks over it. I'm not put them much further than you. I'm like posing the question to you. Do you not think like that quality that we saw in the playoffs will not like turn into this season, or was that just like the look of the playoffs? Do you reckon?
I don't know. Maybe I think it could be a bit of both. Essentially, I think they have what it takes to get in the playoffs, but equally, I'm holding out on Chicago still doing well, and I think New York, who I've put ninth, um, are gonna surprise people and take the eighth seed. So I think New York will end up. I think there's gonna be playoff basketball in New York this season. Um, albeit a first round exit, but it's when was the last time New York were in the playoffs? Probably not since Carmelo Anthony. Um,
No, two
Oh,
seasons
yeah,
ago.
2 seasons ago. Never mind, never mind.
When
But
we had the goal.
that's a fluke. That's a fluke year. It has to work out. It has to work out from this year though. They've paid
Yeah,
Jalen Brunson a lot. They've paid RJ Barrett a lot. Julius Randle is getting paid a lot.
yeah,
It has to work out from that. And I think they've got a decent young core as well. Quickly, Quentin Grimes. Grimes getting drafted this year. And then they've got a decent mix of vets in there as well. Derrick Rose, Tom
yeah.
Thibodeau is still the coach. I respect Thibodeau. Do I reckon his play style's a bit outdated? Yes, but what do I know? But yeah, I think the Knicks could shock people this year, and in a conference where on paper they're probably the 10th strongest team, I think they're going to nick the eighth. Like they're gonna beat Toronto in the first playing match, and then nick the eighth seed off of the team that I've put eighth. But I'm not gonna go too far away because you need to give me who you think are gonna finish ninth.
No, I really like everything you're saying. I hope it's true, and then I hope we go and win the chip after that. But anyway, um, I have put the Toronto Raptors in ninth.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, like I was questioning, I was giving you all the chalk, but I actually agree with you. Um, I mean, it's not about like they're a bad team. I do actually think they're a good team. I just don't think they're better than the other teams, 8 teams above them. Do you know? Like it's literally just about that. I'm afraid. Like I actually really like them, and I hope that they do better. But I just think ninth is it's like the highest place I can put them based off all the other teams.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, what I was going through, I was like, I think that I'm going into this season as a bit of a pessimistic Bulls fan. I was trying my hardest to be
mm,
optimistic in the thing, but I'll say where I've put them later. But it's the fact that I genuinely think that we could finish 10th or
mm,
ninth this year. But I'm speaking into existence that we're gonna have an alright season. Like Toronto are solid, and we know what Toronto are about. We've seen them the last like 4 seasons have
yeah,
decent playoff runs. They won the chip 3 years ago. Um, so we know what they're about. The Bulls are still a bit irrational in the way that is
mm.
Vooch gonna have a good game? Will Zach be how he is? Is Lonzo gonna come back? I'm going off on a tangent about the Bulls, but yeah.
No, it's calm. No, I respect
Um,
it. Hold on, you've got
so
your eight.
you got Toronto ninth. Eighth,
Yes.
I've got Atlanta, and this is who I think New York are gonna beat to get the eighth seed, which I didn't even like think up until now how important that game is going to be because it's Trae Young versus the Knicks. But I think Atlanta aren't going to make the playoffs this year. I don't know if Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are going to click. Is
Whoa,
what I'm
I'm
thinking.
in shock.
Is that outlandish? I don't know. We've seen during preseason. This was done before. This was obviously done before preseason, but we've seen during preseason that Dejounte is going to be the main ball handler, which means Trey is going to be working a lot more off ball. I think Trey's going to have a down year in terms of his production. That might not be necessarily a bad thing, but
Hmm.
this was a guy who got the most points, the most total points, and the most total assists last season.
Yeah,
Um, you know, he was the offense
yeah,
for this Hawks team, and now they have someone else who is going to be another ball handler, someone else who's going to want to stuff the stat sheet. I don't, Trey's going to be affected because of that. Essentially, I still think they're going to have a decent season, but I don't know. I think again, Atlanta, they on paper they're better than New York. I just think when the occasion gets there, New York are gonna nick it.
mm,
That's how the playing works. When it comes down to just
that is,
one game, anyone can win.
yeah.
It's like a game seven.
Mm,
Tactics go out the window. It's all about you know
just play
just
like
play, and if you get
solid.
a bit of luck, so
Mm,
be it. So yeah,
literally.
I think Atlanta will finish eighth, and I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Sorry.
If that happens and we beat Trey Young, it's not even Atlanta, I'll be honest. It's Trey Young. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Atlanta are actually a good team. Trae Young is actually like the guy, but at the same time, I was about to cuss, but we can't cuss on here. Trae Young is we don't rate him. We rate him, but we don't rate him. Do you know what I mean? So if that was to happen, my life this year would be like a good year. But anyways, because I've got them a lot higher than eight. For now, um, this is probably the craziest. No, actually, it's not the craziest. I don't know. It might be the craziest, but I've got the Brooklyn Nets in eight
Okay, okay.
because I don't know. Like,
Well, that's why they finished last season.
yeah, this is what I mean. But like, obviously, like I was fighting with myself on this one, and my main decision on it was like KD is going to be injured a lot. That's what I believe. Like KD is going to be injured a lot, and if he is, I don't think. Even though like Ben Simmons is actually looking really good in preseason, and
It still
I
feels
mean,
weird that he's actually playing basketball.
yeah, like I was watching him and I was like, what, like, like this doesn't feel weird. Like it feels
Yeah.
weird. But then obviously him and Kyrie like will be good. Like and like I think this big three like because I was either gonna put them like really near to the top or like on this side, and I've gone with the I was gonna say safe option. I don't know if it's the safe option, but if I'm
No, I
right, then
mean,
that's
like
crazy.
after last season, after they didn't make the top six and then got swept in the only playoff
Mm,
series that ended up being a 4-0.
yeah.
I think it is safe, but
Mm.
equally it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like there's a part of me that thinks they're gonna finish like the top three or top four even, like they did the season before. And if that happens, you know what, like fair enough. But there's just something about I think KD's gonna be injured a lot. Um, like I don't think Kyrie and Ben Simmons will be able to do enough to then get them like boosting. Like they don't really have much, like as well. They kind of do not like obviously. I mean, I don't know how well this next team is going to work as well, because obviously with everything that happened in the off season, like KD made it known he didn't want to be there. Kyrie was like, if KD's going, I'm going. So it's like I don't know. It was a bit. Do you know what I mean? And I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
how well that works for team chemistry and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see them finishing like seventh or eighth, but I've gonna put them eighth on this occasion.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, in seventh, um, is where I put my boys, the Bulls.
Okay.
We've had a solid preseason, to be fair. I mean, you don't look into it too much, but role players
Mm,
like Javonte Green, Ayodasumu, who is going to be our starting point guard for the new season, which I'm very looking forward to, have have kind of showed up.
mm,
This all depends on. I was going to say like it all depends on like one or two things, but equally, it's like there are so many what ifs on this Bulls team.
yeah.
What if Lonzo doesn't play for the whole season? What if Zach LaVine doesn't make the step up to superstardom? What if DeMar DeRozan has a down year, which throughout preseason he's actually been very good? Um, what if Patrick Williams doesn't like explode this year?
Mm,
It's the most annoying thing as a Bulls fan seeing Patrick Williams, because when he is like the first option on a team, like we saw in the last two games against the Bucks in
mm,
the first round last year, and then a couple nights ago against the Bucks in preseason, he can be a 25 point per game, 10 rebound, 4 assist player.
mm,
He had we see the potential in him, but when you have Vooch, Zach, Demar, and in when Lonzo's there, he's fifth option on the starting
mm,
core, meaning that he only gets like 8 points. He doesn't get many shots. Billy Donovan even experimented with him off the bench in preseason. Um, whether that's going to happen throughout the regular season, who knows? And then the main one is, can Nikola Vucevic actually learn how to play basketball this year and actually learn to play to his strengths? In the post, he's a very good offensive center,
yeah.
but he needs to stop living on the perimeter. He can knock down threes at like a 35% clip, which isn't terrible, but
Mm,
when you're feasting in the middle there, he needs to take advantage of these mismatches that he has. And if he does, he could be a 20 point per game threat. And it also it's the defense that we need to worry about too. Is
Yeah.
Andre Drummond the answer to all our prayers? He isn't. Well,
Knows?
I think he's gonna be solid off the bench. We have good depth.
Mm,
Is
yeah.
what we've done. We haven't, whilst we haven't gone out and got Gobert, which would have been ideal for us. I think we've gone out and got decent depth. Dalen Terry, from the draft, fills in a nice void in the sub wing position. You know, alongside
Yeah.
Javonte Green and Derek Jones. And I like Goran Dragic, as like a third string vet if Lonzo ain't coming back.
Mm,
It is going to be interesting to see how we play against the big teams, though, because obviously it was well renowned last year that we didn't beat anyone who finished in the top three,
yeah.
um, other than the Celtics, but that was back when they were trash.
Mm,
So yeah, they are the most like erratic team in the league. Maybe in the case of on their day, they could be, and I don't know if it's outlandish saying this, championship potential, but equally they could also finish 10th and not even get in the playoffs. So who knows?
no, I hear you. No, I can agree. I think they will have a good year, and I think they'll probably end up in that top seven or top six. Am I on my seventh pick now?
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Yeah. So I've actually put in there too.
All right.
Um, Mainly because it was my same other point. I don't see them finishing above the other teams.
I was going to say equally. I'm looking at this top six, and this top six is mental for
Yeah,
me.
it's crazy. Like it's crazy. Like it's just I don't know. This conference has become so tough. Like if I was a NBA player, I wouldn't want to be in the East right now, unless like I'm on Milwaukee or something, because then it's just like a free ride, is. But yeah, I mean, like everything you said was completely right. Like there's so many what ifs with Chicago Bulls, and they could go one way or completely the other. I see them going the positive way. I think like we saw what they can do last year, and I mean, you got unlucky with the like fact that you had to play against Milwaukee in the playoffs. Like I think that was probably one of the teams you would have wanted to avoid. Um, so these things happen, but I mean, you did get a win, which I mean
Very
that's
good
a
one as well.
W. If
And
you if you if
at
you
that point, after that win, everyone was thinking that we could knock them out.
yeah, everyone, that one win happened, and then it was Bulls in
Well,
six.
that one win happened, and then Chris Middleton was announced to be out for the rest of the playoffs, and then
It
everyone was
looked
like,
like it was up. It looked like you were up. And to be fair, like there was the games weren't like really that like far apart as well. Like they were kind of close from what I was watching. Anyways, I think there
the
was like
first
one or
two
two
games
games.
were, and then they
Mm,
murdered us for the rest of the series, really.
yeah, it was peak. But I think I think you guys could finish seventh, but then like have a good playoff run. I think that well, not maybe not like deep playoff run, but I think like you might make
Well
it.
done last season, maybe.
Yeah, I think I see you playing in the semis
Okay.
potentially. I'd like to see that anyways. Obviously, I want to see my boy happy, man. That's what I want to
Thanks,
see my
man.
boy
Thanks,
happy. This is the only way. This is the only way. But no, I like. Yeah, I mean, you covered most of them, but I do think DeMar will have a good season as well. Obviously, I don't think he'll have an MVP season. Like last year, he was kind of in the running for a little bit. I don't think he'll have that good of a season, but I think it'll be good enough that no one will really put question marks over his head. Like last year in the like regular season, the guy was actually unreal. I can't lie. Like he was the sauce. It's just about we've never really seen DeMar go off in the off season, and I mean, as the postseason. Sorry, I mean, who knows? I think this postseason might be the one where he does go off because
we can
second
hope.
year at the Bulls. I don't know. I like to see it happen. I really like the guy. Who knows? It could be the time. But for me, seven Chicago Bulls.
Fair, fair. Sixth for me is I've put the Cavs there.
Hmm.
They're up
I like
he
it.
now, and well, without mentioning his name because I'm forbidden and you might slap me. He does make Donovan. Well, Donovan Mitchell does make their team better.
Yeah.
Um, I do think they're going to start the season slow though, and then build up, and that's why I think they're only going to finish sixth. Um, Obviously, it takes a while for a team to properly gel together, especially when they're
Mm.
young. So yeah, I think they're going to start slow and then start to build up, go on a bit of a run, and then finish sixth. I think from the sixth position, they could be a dark horse for the NBA Finals to come out of the East. Who knows? But equally, if they don't do it this year, then it's not the end of the world because literally everyone on that team except Kevin Love is young. So
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, they could, like you said, actually get like to the finals. Like it isn't impossible for them. They are like their team is actually stacked right now, and we saw them be decent last year, and this was a year where they just had like underrated good players. Now they've got like renownedly good players. Like these aren't underrated players. We know the level to which these players are at. And like you said as well, they're all young aside from Kevin Love, who, if you want a vet, is a good vet in your team to have. He's succeeded with this team before. He knows how to succeed with Cleveland. These guys will want to succeed at Cleveland. And I think that's a good guy to have. Like he was there in the golden years, if you want to say, with LeBron.
yeah, yeah,
And I mean, I don't think that they will get there, but at the same time, you can't write it off. They could make the conference finals at least, maybe even. Who knows? But I could see them in the conference finals definitely. But
yeah, yeah.
my
Who you
sixth
got
spot
sixth?
is the Atlanta Hawks. I think, like you said,
Okay.
like obviously you touched on a few points about them. I think that I don't think they might not click straight away, but I think once they get a rhythm of how DeJounte Murray and of course Trae Young are gonna like work that backcourt, I think is gonna be crazy. Like we all remember when the trade happened, when DeJounte got the move, we were on this podcast tripping. Like that's crazy. And I still think it is crazy. Like I just think it'll take them a minute. Like you said with Cleveland, like I think it'll be slow for them too at first. People will start like sending shots to them saying, yo, um, these guys aren't it, the backcourt's not it, whatever. But I think they'll be alright, and I think over time they'll show what they are. And then I think six is a good spot for them. I don't think they'll have a deep playoff run though. I don't know why. Like I mean, Atlanta, except from the year they made the finals, they weren't really like they're not really like active in the playoffs, and I don't think they will be this year because of like I've said a few times the competition in this conference.
Mhm, mhm.
But obviously, I think for them it's just about improvements,
Yeah,
and this will be a much improved season from last year. I think, anyways. I mean, I might be wrong, but I actually think that they're gonna have a good year. I mean, it'll be nice to see, or not nice. It'll be interesting to see Trey's like new like role in this team because obviously he's still gonna be like the guy for them in terms of everything's gonna run through Trey, but I think in the sense of like it'll be Trey is gonna make sure like the ball gets to DeJounte or something like that. Like I think they're gonna have a good working chemistry on the court, but obviously, like you said, I think Trey's gonna work a little bit differently to how we normally see him, and obviously it's gonna be interesting to see how he does that if he can do that. Because who knows, he might not be able to pull it off, and then they might like have a flop year and tank and get Wemby.
Who knows? Who knows? Well, we move
Yeah.
into the top five. In fifth is where I've put the Boston Celtics, arguably the best team in the East last year, the side who got to the NBA Finals, the side who pushed Golden State to 6 games. Ime Udoka is, in my opinion, one of the best coaches in the league, and they won't have him. Do I think that for what he did deserves a 1 year ban? I don't want to get into all of that credentials.
Yeah.
What he did was bad, obviously. That's the
Mm.
bottom line. Is it a year worthy ban? I don't know. I don't know. But I think he makes that team. He made that team like defensively solid. I mean, they obviously have good defenders anyway,
Mm.
but his way of his tactics made them very defensively solid. Rob Williams is going to be out for like a few months as well at the start of the season, and obviously he's the defensive anchor of that team. Malcolm Brogdon coming in is obviously good for them at the point guard position. Gallinari is a good pickup, but obviously he's not going to be playing at least for the whole of the regular season. He might come in during the playoffs. Blake Griffin they've brought in kind of to fill that void, but it's like putting a plaster on a leak in a massive boat. Really, it's not really gonna do much. I respect Blake. I like his career, but he ain't really it anymore. And I think it's safe to put him down towards the end of the bottom six, in my opinion, because of that.
Yeah, that's true, to be honest. I actually forgot about the Ime Udoka situation, like, I'm not gonna lie. And I'll keep them where I put them, because it's not really much further away, but I can actually understand where you're coming from. I do think he laid the foundation so well, though. Like, I still think they'll be a good team. And to be honest, like, even though he'll be on a 1-year ban, he will probably still be communicating with the coaching staff and the players, probably. But obviously, it's different when you're actually there in the, like, team huddle, in the timeout or whatever, as opposed to just, like, I don't know, giving tactics on a Teams call or something.
Teams call.
I see them linking up on a Teams call. That's what I would do if I was the coach and I couldn't speak to my players. Or you'd find a way in it. But I mean, the 1-year ban is actually quite steep for them, and I mean, who knows? They could actually like have a massive fall off. Like, I mean, second to fifth is a bit of a fall off, but it's still playoffs, and it doesn't really matter how you get there as long as you get there, I guess. So I can see where you're coming from with that one. But I don't know. But then at the same time, you know what? They've had a really weird off season because obviously that happened. Then there was the whole thing about Boston were trying to like get rid of um JB for KD, and like I don't know. It's like then that might make him feel a certain way, and who knows? I don't know. I mean, I guess it all comes into play with this thing, but I can understand where you're coming from. I put them a little bit higher, but I'll keep them there just because like I don't want to mess anything up.
Who have you
But I've
put
got and fifth, I've gone with the 76ers. Why? I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know.
Ever the
Like
analyst.
it should be like you look at 76ers and you see Embiid and you see Harden and Tyrese Maxey and all this guy, and you think they should be higher. And I wanna say they will be higher, but I can't keep putting this faith that the 76ers are gonna do well. Because I always think that they will do well and they just always prove me wrong. And for the probably one of the only times I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm not gonna have faith in them. Forget them. I don't care if they get the chip or not this year. I actually don't care anymore. I don't care about Embiid anymore. I used to like the guy, but he keeps proving me wrong, and I can't have that on my side. You know what I mean? It's a rotten soldier. He keeps going against your words. I can't have that. So I'm afraid I will not be giving any Embiid backing this year. I might change my mind into like October, like deep into October. But for now, no Embiid backing. I'm sick of him. I'm
No
sick of
longer
all of the
trusting in the
backing.
process.
No, I'm not. The process is done. It's finished. They can't make the finals. Just no matter what. He's had every opportunity to win the finals and get the MVP, but no, he keeps losing. Honestly, I bet the Joker and flipping Giannis are just clowning him in their DMs all the time. Like, look at this joke, man. Always thinking he would get the MVP off us. Never. Oh my days. But I mean, I think Harden will actually have an amazing season though. Like getting away from that, I think Embiid will like have a slight decline, but I think Harden will have a much better season than he has in like the last few years. I don't know how hot of a take this is, but I think we're gonna see like the Rockets Harden on this team. I think he's gonna be like unbelievable because I'm seeing all of this off-season like talk with him and the team and how committed he is, and we haven't seen a committed Harden in like 5 years. Like we've never really seen him commit to a team like with his whole everything, like, and I think he's gonna be unreal. And I don't think he's gonna win it, but I think he's gonna be in the MVP conversation for this year. That's my hot take of the
Okay.
episode. In fact,
Okay.
there's been so many hot ones already. But that's the hottest one, definitely.
Okay.
But that's my fifth spot right there.
Fair. For top four for me now, so home court advantage first round of the playoffs. I've put Miami, and before you ask if I'm underrating them again, I put them sixth last year, so this is an improvement.
That's true.
And equally, their team has gotten worse this year. They've lost PJ Tucker. They haven't replaced him. Who are they going to play power forward? Don't know. Bam Adebayo said he's going to average 20 points a game this season, but that's exactly what he said like the last 4 seasons. And he still hasn't done it. People are saying he could be Defensive Player of the Year this year, though, and I don't think that's too wide.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's just, it's a team who are getting older, and again, in my opinion, I just don't rate them until they get to the playoff time when Jimmy Butler morphs into Thanos and plays every minute of every game and shoots every shot and averages 67. And yeah,
Just
I mean,
like his dad.
I've never rated him through the regular season. Maybe it's a case of Eric Spoelstra is just the second top 3. I'll say out after Popovich and Phil Jackson as greatest coaches in NBA history. Maybe I underestimate what Eric Spoelstra does to this team, but in my opinion, Kyle Lowry's aging, Jimmy Butler's aging still. Bam Adebayo hasn't reached superstar potential yet. So maybe I'm underrating them in before they finish first again this year, because they always do. But yeah, no, I think 4th is still a decent season for them, though.
No, I like that. I can't lie. I think I put them a bit higher, but I can agree with you. I think they're gonna still have a good year. Like you said, the team's getting a bit older, but Jimmy doesn't age at the same time. Like, he doesn't know what that is. When it's his birthday, he actually goes a year younger, and then when he gets a certain point, then he starts going up. So like so he goes from like 30 to 25, then he goes from 25 back up, and then he just keeps going. Like, that's just the guy's gonna be in the league for the rest of our life. Like, and then he's just gonna carry on. Like, our kids are gonna be doing beyond the arc, carry on. Obviously, like, it's just gonna continue, like, for the whole time. But obviously, it's probably not gonna be in YouTube anymore. Like, and they're gonna be like talking about Jimmy Butler. Is he gonna make the playoffs this year? He's been in the league for 100 years now. Like, how is this guy still doing it? But the son of Michael Jordan, he's just that good. Yeah. So for am I my 4th pick now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for my 4th pick, I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Right.
This is where I'll put them now. That might be a bit crazy. I don't know. Obviously, it's a massive jump, but their team has obviously massively jumped as well. And like I said, when you mentioned them, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them in the conference finals. And unfortunately, I don't want to have to talk about him because he broke my heart in 17 different places. But the addition of Donovan Mitchell is probably arguably the best addition any team has made in a minute. Like,
well, yeah, when we ranked the offseason, Cleveland were top, and I think we're the only team that were top. So
yeah, I mean, they were absolutely unreal. Like, in the offseason, like they did business and they did it well.
yeah,
And I mean, I haven't seen a team have a good offseason like that in a while. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you could argue the only time a team had an offseason better than this was Brooklyn Nets a few years ago with Kyrie and KD, but that hasn't really panned out the way we thought it would. But if you're just basing it off the offseason, then that is probably one that I would put over this. But obviously, I think this because this is for the future as well. Like I said, the guys are all young. They could all be here for 5+ years if they wanted to, and I wouldn't be surprised if they would. Like, obviously, they're not going to come to this Cleveland team for 2 years. Like, they're either here for the longevity of it, or I don't know what they're here for then. Like, I don't know. And I see them finishing 4th. And like I said, a finals run wouldn't shock me. And I don't know about the actual league finals, but definitely a conference finals wouldn't shock me at all. I wouldn't like to see it happen though, just because of Donovan Mitchell. Like, I just don't want to see him succeed anymore. I like Cleveland. Yeah, I like Cleveland. I'm not gonna lie, but I just don't want to see him succeed. So, unfortunately, I have to put them 4th though.
Fair enough. Moving into the top 3, 3rd is where I've got Philly, the 76ers.
Okay.
Do I believe in the process? Probably not, but I think James Harden's going to have a very good year. The addition of PJ Tucker is obviously very important as well for Philly. Whether he'll play like every game in the regular season, probably not. But if he can help them get to a top 3 seed, then he's going to help them a lot in the playoffs. But we save the playoffs for another day.
Yeah.
Embiid still is going to average like 25 plus, maybe even more. But on top of that, Harden's going to average 20 plus and 10 plus rebounds, and I think Max is going to hit 20 plus points a game as well this year. And I think that is a very solid big three. And I think when you have that big three, they're going to win you enough games by themselves to get top 3. And that's not even including solid role players like Niang and Thibault, if you want to call him solid. They don't really they haven't really sorted out the reserve. Oh no, they have. They got Harrell. They brought in Montrezl Harrell. So then so they've sorted out reserve center as well. So Embiid's not going to have to play all the minutes. And I rate Harrell off the bench ever since his Clippers days. So yeah, Philly top 3. I don't really know what else to say that hasn't been said by you. I'm kind of I have the same opinions as you. I'm not as low on Embiid as you seem to be, but I think Harden's good season will be enough to put him 3rd instead of
No, I like that. I mean, I'll actually normally I say I hope I'm wrong, but in this case, like I said, I'm not backing Embiid at all anymore. I'm done with him. So I hope I'm right on this one. I hope you're wrong. I don't like to say that to my boy, but I have to say it this time. But in that one on 3rd, I'm actually gonna put the Boston Celtics. I've only dropped them 1 place from where they were last year. I haven't done a massive drop like you, but then I actually forgot like all the circumstances of this team. So I'm not gonna lie, but like I said, the foundations are still there. The team is still solid. They did take Golden State to 6, and I mean, despite what some of the players were saying, they weren't the best team in that. Like, I've heard some crazy things from these Boston Celtics players in this off season, but they were still good. Like, they did still, like, beat Golden State twice, which obviously it's a big thing to do when you're playing them that deep, and it's the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry. To beat them twice is like you might as well have taken the chip home. To be honest, like that is crazy. Like, and although like it was their first, all these guys, it was their first trip to the finals. So you have to say for a first trip to the finals against a team everybody knew was gonna win, like it's massive for them. And like we said last year, like they will continue that into the season. I don't know if they'll go into the finals again. I actually don't think they will, but that's mainly because like now we've touched on the subject, the Ime Udoka situation. Like I still think they'll have a good player front. I just don't think they'll make the finals. That's not anything against the team. I think it's just how they're not going to work as well as they did last year. Obviously, their coach being out and everything. And like you said, he is probably one of the best coaches in the league, if not the best coach in the league. Like he's definitely up there, top 3 probably. And yeah, I mean, I've only dropped them 1 place, and it could be a few more. Like in this case, I might be wrong, but I still, like obviously, like I said, the foundations and the strength of the team is still there. JT is still JT. JB is still JB. Do you know what I mean? Like these are arguably like top 3 duos in the league as well. Like that doesn't go away, and like Jason Tatum's like superstar power isn't going away either. But obviously, I just don't think they'll have a season as good as they did last year. But yeah, that's my 3rd spot.
Okay, so as we move into the top 2, I think the same thing is going to happen as what happened last week. Although you're not going into it being like, right, well, we all know who's going to be number 1, so why don't we get number 2 out of the way kind of thing.
Well, because the thing is, I know who your top 2 is, but I don't know which position you put them.
For real? Okay. Well, for me, in 2nd place, I've put the Bucks. Which means for me, number 1 is Brooklyn.
It's the exact same thing what happened last time.
It is.
I thought you.
I'm blowing this guy's mind. I don't even think it's that much of a hot take as well. You know, I mean,
no, it's not. It's not, but it isn't. It's not. You know what I mean?
I'll talk you through my thought process with Milwaukee first. I think teams are starting to suss out Coach Budenholzer's tactics. in the way that, you know, sometimes he does just like to go through Giannis, and teams are starting to kind of understand that a little bit. Obviously, last season's playoffs, it didn't help that their best shooter wasn't there. He was injured. So teams could focus a little bit more on Giannis and kind of let Grayson Allen shoot 8 threes a game. If he hits 5, 6 of them, then so be it. That's just unlucky. I still, Giannis is still like the best. But I also think after last season's playoffs, Budenholzer and the Bucks, they're gonna rest a lot of that, like some of their big three. They're gonna rotate them a little bit, just so the same thing doesn't happen what happened last season. We know Middleton is probably one of the best when it comes to like longevity. He rarely gets injured. But I think now, because of what happened last season, now they've been exposed to what it's like when one of their big pieces gets injured, and the fact that they can't play the way they want to, and that Budenholzer doesn't change their tactics, to maybe let other people get open, and because the rest of their team isn't as good as Middleton, Holiday, or Giannis, it makes it because of what happened last season, they're going to make sure it doesn't happen again, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think that's why the Bucks will finish second, and then Brooklyn, on paper, still have the best, in terms of talent, best team in the NBA.
No, you're not wrong.
They did spend a long period of time atop the Eastern Conference last season before Kevin Durant got injured. And like you were saying about, if Kevin Durant does get injured, then they're not going to finish first. But the thing is, though, if Durant stays healthy, Kyrie Irving's got a full season to play, Ben Simmons is back, and whilst he's not going to be... Well, to be fair, Ben Simmons isn't a shooter. He's not going to impact the game on that, but his presence on the court, he's still going to do enough to make that team good. Joe Harris is back. I think he's one of the best. He is one of the best shooters in the league, former 3-point contest winner. So he's back after a year. Claxton's got another year under him. Let's hope that he can shoot some free throws this year, that is. I just feel like, yes, their depth isn't quality, but if KD, Kyrie, Simmons, and the players that I've just mentioned there, if they're
good enough,
if they play enough, then I think they're going to win enough games to finish first.
The thing is, I actually believe you. This is what I mean. I put them down there because I put them way lower than you as well. What's that? A massive. That year review is going to be crazy for me and you. But that's what I mean. It could literally be one complete way or the other way, and we've both gone one way. So it's nice to know one of us is probably going to be right, unless they finish bang in the middle. But the thing is, I see that happening. No, maybe not first, but I see them playing that good that in the top three. But then I also
when you were saying I can see him finishing top 3 inside, I was like, yeah, no, so can I.
Yeah, you're gonna learn, boy. You're gonna learn. That's what he was thinking. No, that's what I mean. The thing is, with last year, they dropped because when KD got injured, but Kyrie's there now to play all the games. He wasn't there when KD was getting injured. So it's man, you're kind of right. I'll be honest. I think you've actually got me on that one. I think Brooklyn will finish top 3, but obviously, I kind of messed up on that one. But you know what? When we do the year review, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't say that if I was right in it. But
okay, sure.
They probably will. I think you're actually right. Because I'm very excited to see them this year. I don't see no playoff sweep on Brooklyn this year at all. I think if they make that play in, which they probably will, it's going to be hard to knock them off.
You said, the only thing that's going to stop them this year is the team morale.
Yeah,
injuries, I think I'm being very hypocritical putting Phoenix as low as I did last week in 7th, and then putting Brooklyn top when their situations are kind of similar in my opinion. In the case that maybe even worse, in the way that Steve Nash is quite literally one of the worst coaches in the NBA.
Yeah.
Monty Williams hasn't spoken to DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul hasn't learned anything. So your star veteran player says he hasn't learned anything on the Suns. Your star veteran players on the Nets say they want out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I just
actually
feel
did
like
say, no, no.
I just feel like the Nets are a bit more of a cohesive unit. I feel like all the trade speculation wasn't good, but now the back, I think KD's ready to run it.
Yeah.
Whereas
I can,
Chris Paul, I don't know. I don't think his impact on the team is going to be as great as Kevin Durant's.
yeah. And to be fair, like KD is just KD. Like you said, like Steve Nash is not a good coach. Like KD actually wanted him out. Like he said, if I'm staying, get rid of Steve Nash. Like he knows Steve Nash is a dry coach, which he is. But they also still got to a conference. Was it semifinals or was it finals? Like I
No,
can
no,
never
conference.
remember.
Oh, like a couple seasons
Yeah,
ago. Yeah, it was
yeah,
conference semis. I think I want to say.
yeah.
Yeah, conference semis
And they,
against the
to be
Bucks
honest, they were,
and should have
yeah,
knocked him out.
against the Bucks. Yeah, and they should have knocked them out. Like it got to that point. It was the game seven, and that was literally just KD being good. They had nothing to do with coaching. Let's be honest. Sometimes the players are that good, you don't need to coach them. I know it sounds kind of like is hypocritical the right word? I don't know, but
Look at
um,
LeBron James. Really, he
yeah, the guy's been through bad coaches and he plays good with all of them. Are you saying all of these coaches are good? No, he's just that good.
look
And I
this
think
this man
KD,
this man was in MVP talks with Frank Vogel as his coach a couple seasons ago. Like this guy's crazy. But yeah, I get what
literally.
you mean. I get what you mean.
Like
So
and Kyrie again is one of those players you don't really need to coach him. You just need to put them two on the court and say, guys, let's win the game, and
that's yeah, yeah.
they'll probably win you the game. Like we saw Kyrie go absolutely crazy when he came back from his like I was gonna say injury, but it wasn't an injury. His hiatus of playing basketball, and the guy was unreal. Like he was actually unreal, and that wasn't due to coaching. That was just because he's that good, and
Mhm.
they could just be that good from this next season coming. And in the post season when they play the playoffs, I think they'll have a deep run. And I mean, who knows? Cleveland and Nets in the finals. I don't obviously like it could happen. Like if we're talking the yeah, it could happen. I don't
Okay.
know. That's
So
a weird finals, but it
yeah,
could happen.
for you, is it Heat second,
It's
Bucks first?
yeah, it's Heat second, Bucks first. I think Bucks are gonna have their bounce back. I think Giannis is just the guy, and I think he's gonna win the MVP. Um, because
Interesting.
he's the man. He is the man. Actually, well, I've got it between Giannis and Steph. I think Steph could have another MVP year in him because, like the Warriors now that they're off the championship. Like people are gonna come for them because the thing is, last year it wasn't until like the last couple months that people deeped how good the Warriors were again. Because obviously they had their couple years of being a bit dry. Like even though they were so good for so long, everyone just assumed they were gonna drop off. Like and they just never did because like they're just that good right now, and they have been for so long. And I think Steph could have an MVP. I think ultimately Giannis will nick it off him, but I think Steph will be in the conversation. He was in it for quite a while last year, but then he slipped off it a little bit. But I think he will be in it this year. I think him and Giannis and I don't know who else will be in it. Probably the Joker again, but I think Giannis will win it this year. And even though I just said Brooklyn and Cleveland could be in the final, I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee actually went and got to the league finals. Probably against I would love to see the Warriors and the Bucks in the finals, to be honest, because I don't know who would win that. But I could see it happening. The two MVP people in the running play each other in the final. It happens. I'm telling you, I called this a year before it happened.
Yeah, okay,
And
okay.
but yeah, I think Milwaukee will just have an unreal season. I think, like you said, everyone's kind of figured out coach's tactics, but when the tactic is past the Giannis, it's hard to stop it. Like it just is. Like you couldn't all five people just be running to Giannis, and somehow he'll make it to the basket. Like he's just that good. The guy is unreal. There's actually no stopping him. He's a modern day Shaq. Somebody said on Twitter the other day, and I can't lie, it's true. Like because Shaq actually said he was like, "I am playing in the NBA today. My name is Giannis," and I was like, "That boy's not wrong." The only thing he could do that he couldn't was shoot like threes and free throws. Like Shaq couldn't do that, but Giannis can. Maybe not on a decent level, but like he can do it. And the guy is just. I mean, we can talk about Giannis all day to be honest, but I think Milwaukee will just have a good season again. And Miami, similar to last year, but obviously I've just dropped them one place below. But I mean, I don't have much to say about them. But we've talked about our top three like so much. Like it's just hard to say anything now. But I think Miami's kind of similar to what you said, but I just think they'll actually be like a bit better than you're expecting. And then all you Miami really need is to make the playoffs, and then Jimmy will do the rest. Like,
Fair. Fair.
but yeah, that's
That's
my
a
top
wrap.
two.
Yeah.
That is.
So that is our predictions ahead of the new NBA season for the Eastern Conference. Yeah, lot. I feel like this one was a little bit more outlandish than the West, but equally,
It
who
was always going to be this way,
it's,
like
al- it's
with the
always going
East.
to be it's always going to be a case of it's very tight. So
Mm.
who
I
knows
want to
what's going
know.
to
I
happen?
want to know who do you think is going to win the MVP?
Luka Doncic, easy.
Okay.
I think it
Nah, I
could
can't
be.
really
I
argue.
think, to be fair, I think it. From what I predicted with Denver finishing first, I think it could be Jokic again. But vote for Teague, I think is gonna.
Mm.
The NBA is gonna want to
Yeah.
give it to someone else.
I mean, at the same time, if he finishes first, it's hard to not give it to him. Like, but three in a row is like that's crazy.
Unheard of, essentially.
That's like goat talks right there.
It's
But
crazy. It's crazy. Well, myself and Sully are gonna be probably seeing you guys. Well, not I say probably. We're gonna be seeing you guys next week when the NBA season finally kicks off after so long away. Yeah, we're gonna be finally reviewing some NBA games, albeit only 2 nights of games. So there'll probably be more like prediction
mm,
words, or it might just be a short episode. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're liking and subscribing onto the YouTube video. Make sure you share it out no matter what you're listening on. Make sure you're following all of the socials down in the description. Tell your friends to watch the video as well.
you need to get us on. You need to get us on Sky Sports before the NBA postseason. We need to be sat on that bench because we've been trying to get rid of those two guys for ages.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for watching and peace.